2003 Chevy. I'm a glutton for punishment, but I just love building things. I recently did a video on a rebuild of a new bumper for the back end. And rather than this, these things are like 20 inches top to bottom. They're massive. I think I want to build something different. So here I go. I know once I tear this thing off, it's going to be a point of no return. I'm going to be committed. So those bolts were easy to get to. My last bolt, it looks like, is right in there. I've got one there, and I've got one in there. I'm hoping that will take this whole bumper off. Let's see what happens. There it is. Now I've got to figure out how I want to mount this new bumper I want to build. Obviously this is pretty stout. This looks like almost 1/4 inch steel that's welded to the frame. This would be my likely suspect, as well as these two kind of outrigger supports. But I may take those off because I want this whole bumper to come up tight against this thing without all that giant stuff that Chevy designed on this. So I'm going to fabricate two little pieces, probably 3/16. Comes out and then comes up here. I can weld the main portion, the main body, the bumper on, then build up this area and build up that area. Kind of winging it. Get rid of these magnets before I weld this thing. I'll do a couple more spot welds before I weld this. If I weld this whole thing right now, it's probably going to deflect a little bit, which I don't want. I want to keep it dead square, so I'm going to do a couple more tacks. Honestly, flux core gets a bad rap sometimes, but I love it. Okay, let's throw these little puppies on. See where I'm gonna get. So I'm probably gonna utilize these two plus these outrigger or whatever they're called. These little mounts way off to the side. If they'll fit into what I want to use. I saw some U-Weld kits. You know, they were all right. The guy didn't, you know, he had to fill some gaps in a 1/4 inch, kind of open things up here and there to make it fit the way he wanted. But what I didn't like about those is your towing hooks were buried. I want to make these so I have access to these towing hooks, man. Those things, you don't use them all the time, but now and then they're valuable. Let's take a look at what I got going so far. Those are going to be my two main mounting points. And then that third little bent arm out there by each front wheel. The weapon of choice today, weapon of choice 212 Millermatic MIG welder. Pretty much a bulletproof machine. Tacked up from the back side. I'll go try it on the front. Gonna have to make sure I've got a nice even reveal along there. Well, here's where I am so far. Probably got a couple hours cutting these things apart. This is the back side, of course. I tacked on these little supports in there just so it's a third person holding everything up. Now I've got to take it out there and see how it's looking on the truck. Just tack these little wings on. This is called creative bracing when you're working by yourself. So now I got to figure out my next plan of attack here. Probably that top edge, it's going to have to roll up underneath that whole thing, up and down. That should be fun. More fitting and quick walk around here. You know, I see a lot of the custom built ones that you buy online. And you know, they're thin, man. They're just little strips, but you know, you're gonna have to get some black paint and paint a whole bunch of undercarriage frame and whatnot out, because those things leave a whole lot of stuff vulnerable. I don't want to have that stuff just hanging out there, so I'm going to try to make this bumper a little wider than those ones and cover everything up. Let's take a little walk around. Another thing, here in beautiful California, they require a license plate here. So I can't cut a big old chunk of stuff out of there to hang a winch on or something. How do you like my custom supports? Rather than having to fabricate new elongated holes, this is the old, I don't know, side mount, kind of went out to the corner of the bumper. I'm going to nip this off and at least utilize this and weld a new strut that goes up to that outside corner of that bumper for stability. I'm just going to nip this off and use this thing again. A little bit of grinding to do now. I welded everything on the outside because I know I'm going to be able to grind those down, make all the joints pretty. Get this license plate so it's not just hanging out there getting abused and kicked and hit. A little bit of protection for it. Here's one coat of bed liner paint, which is kind of a textured paint. I did that on my back bumper. Kind of like it. I'm too cheap and impatient to spend the better part of 2 weeks getting the thing powder coated. Here we are. Fake license plate. So thanks for watching.